Post-millennial. It is the summer of love 2.0. It has just kicked off Antifa Attacks, TPUSA tabling event featuring Brandon Tatum at UC Davis, gear stolen and students assaulted. Check this out.
Watch out. Hey, Soja, hey, Jackson, soda.
Oh, nice, Tatum.
Yo, Tatum's not going to mess around.
Get in there.
They just steal they just stole the gazebo.
Do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want all the time. They're not even doing anything. I don't get it.
They mogged him. They stole his stuff and left.
Yep, the cops are like, all right. Are they playing that EDM?
Do they do that to try to copyright him while he's filming? Blast copyrighted music?
Aw.
Yeah.
I was dancing. Well, I don't know if this means Summer of Love 2.0 definitively, but I'm hearing from a lot of the on-the-ground riot reporters that it feels like it's getting hot, and it's going to be big.
I mean, we were talking about this earlier.
Big.
My inclination or my intuition is that there is not going to be a catalyst like the George Floyd situation that will involve the normies. And that's not to say Antifa won't be all riled up and doing things like this, but this is typical Antifa behavior. This is the stuff that they normally do. Essentially they just go and they harass, conservatives and stuff. Will they attack? Will they be attacking Tesla owners individually? I don't know. I don't get the sense that they will. That seems more like something that
They've done it.
I'm talking about in mass.
They're also seeking 20 years for one of them.
A large protest happened in front of a Tesla facility, and some guy got arrested for flashing the employee's eyes with a green laser. Mm-hmm. And so the police tracked the guy down, arrested him with the green laser. One of the employees, 3 employees said that they were injured by it. Their eyes were blurry and that they were having headaches or whatever. One person left because he didn't want to be there while the protests were going on because they had flashed him in the eyes with the laser.
Well, I still don't get the sense that you're going to see large scale Antifa attacking, the way that it was during the Summer of Love.
Based on where we are right now, I don't see that. Anything could change at any moment. Any catalyst could happen. But I do believe, and I'm a free speech absolutist. I'm a Walter Brandeisian style free speech absolutist, that no one ever has a right to go and interrupt somebody else's protest. You want to have a protest? You go stand on your side with your permit and you scream louder. Nobody has a right to attack anyone that's protesting anything. Period.
They firebombed buildings numerous occasions. There's been around 20 or so attacks on Teslas and Tesla charging stations. And there's an untold number of attacks on Tesla vehicles already. Why would it stop?
I mean, people are figuring out that they have 12 cameras facing every angle and they're going to get caught. So
nope. There's a video, 2 videos, in fact, where a mother and their children flick the camera off as they vandalize the car.
I mean, then it's going to take the prosecutions that just started. Pam Bondi just announced 20-year sentence she's seeking.
So
I want to just add to that. These people seem to be doing it on purpose for attention.
Oh, yeah.
They know they'll get arrested, but they also know they'll get 1 million views.
Yeah, totally possible. I don't agree with anyone ever defacing property. I don't agree with anybody impeding anybody else's ability
My point is, if it is already worse now than it was in the past years, what is the logic behind I don't see it happening? Well,
I'm not saying I don't see protests. I don't see George Floyd level protests without a more significant catalyst than we have now.
If this was Trump's first administration, there would have been violence in my estimation. But with Antifa coming up like this, I also think the Trump administration is cracking down on different kind of campus protests by withholding funding or trying to strip back funding from different campuses that are allowing stuff like this to occur. Obviously, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been doing a good job getting anti-American, anti-leftist deported out of our country, stripping away visas from people like this. There was something I actually planned on inquiring with the administration about, and that's about mask bans at different protests for different reasons. In New York, on a part of Long Island, Bruce Blakeman actually banned masks at different protest events. Governor Kathy Hochul is considering this. Donald Trump would have the ability to ban masks at protests on D.C. We've seen people waving anti-American flags, support for terrorism with their faces covered at these different events. And I think that's another avenue Donald Trump could go down to make sure stuff like this doesn't get out of hand.
I want to be clear. Again, free speech absolutist. The answer to any kind of speech that is hateful, that is unjust, that is lies, that is hurtful is always more speech to drown it out. I don't agree with harming people physically.
Can you add, you're a free speech absolutist. Can you advocate for the murder of somebody else then? Does that?
Can someone say that?
Yeah, can I
Absolutely
advocate?
they can. It's my job to scream louder.
Free speech absolutists believe you can direct someone to commit a crime.
Sure. I just wasn't sure how far you actually go with your
scream louder.
absolutism.
It's my job to be the louder voice. It's never to censor, ever. And the counter speech doctrine written by Walter Brandeis still stands today. It's cited by the Supreme Court all the time. The answer is never, ever the silencing of hate speech, like ugly speech, untruthful speech. It is always to be the louder voice, to scream louder, to say more, to be the truthful one, to be the kind one.
Slander? Does that include slander? Can we slander people?
I mean, if it's a crime that's causing them financial harm, they can take you to court. There are types of speech.
But would my free speech to slander you? I know this sounds extreme.
I'm a public figure. It would be almost impossible for me to sue you.
Not if he called you a pedophile.
Yeah, if I
mean, sure. Like if you accuse me of a crime and it caused me harm, like
So that's the limit to my free speech.
No, you could probably do it.
You wouldn't support laws banning me from doing so, I guess so.
I don't support silencing speech. I'm a free speech absolutist.
What about obscenities?
I'm a free speech absolutist.
So like someone should be able to walk around a playground with pictures of adults having sex?
That's not the same as speaking, first of all. If they were saying things like that, your children,
wait.
I don't know.
Signs are not free speech.
Signs are not free speech. If you're holding a sign, I assume you have free speech to hold that sign if you have the permits necessary wherever you are.
So can someone hold up a sign that says no taxes?
If there's no loitering there and they don't have a permit, no. But if they have a permit and they're allowed to be there, yes.
You need a permit?
On public land, you need a permit to do lots of types of protests.
That's not free speech absolutism.
Free, then.
I'm a free speech absolutist that you should never be able to censor speech.
Never.
Even when I don't like it, even when it hurts my kids.
I guess the question is,
even when it hurts things I care about, I don't agree with it.
Define speech.
I don't agree that there's one kind of speech I don't agree with. But.
Well, I actually think it is kind of ironic considering TikTok is the most censorious platform available right now.
I mean, from what I hear, they're asking us to point out anything we think is being censored so that they can.
So it's elitist and censorious.
I don't think they're elitist. No. I think that they actually advocate for the working class and provide small businesses with more opportunity than any other social media platform.
From the work that we've done.
You sound like you almost are a lobbyist on behalf of TikTok.
Nope, I'm not a lobbyist on behalf of them. I'm a small business advocate.
TikTok banned us because they said our opinions are outside of their shared reality.
I don't agree with that, and I think you should appeal it, and I think you should go talk to them.
We did. They told us no.
Do you think you're allowed to talk about Taiwan or the Uyghur genocide or Hong Kong independence on TikTok?
I talk about crazy issues like that all the time on TikTok.
No, like that specifically? Not like that. You talk about Hong Kong independence and the Uyghur genocide in China, and they don't ban you on TikTok?
I have literally spoken to Dr. Jill Stein, and I talked about that when I had her on.
Wow. Okay, because they actually have a history of. I know that's.
So let's dive into this for a little bit.
Yeah.
So you don't believe in a right to universal assembly, meaning certain grounds in the public sphere require permitting from a public source.
I mean, if it's private property, not just anybody can come walk
property.
onto my home or
public property.
Public property. Say it again, then.
So I said, can you hold up a sign? You said you would need a permit.
If you need a permit for that location because it's a no loitering area, I would assume you need a permit. So you have to follow the laws, but once you have complied with the laws, you should be able to say whatever you're there to say.
Do you think it would be okay for someone to describe graphic sexual depictions in front of children in a playground?
I don't agree with it, but it's my job to scream louder and chase them out of there.
So chase them out. That could.
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with them doing that.
But
I don't agree with censoring something if it's legally allowed.
You defend their right to do it.
I would defend the KK's right. The KKK's right to march.
But you said,
I don't agree with it. I think it's disgusting.
Right, you said chase them out.
But it's my duty to defend it.
You said chase them out. Do you mean that figuratively or literally?
I mean that with my voice. I don't mean that I should chase them anywhere. I mean my voice should be louder. I should bring more people. I should have the louder assembly.
Okay, can a person hold up a sign that says no taxes in public?
Yeah.
With children all around him?
With no taxes?
Yeah, he says, hold on, said no taxes. And he's in front of children everywhere.
If they're legally allowed to be wherever the children are. Yeah.
All right, it's Times Square.
Yeah.
Well, big sign. Can he hold up a picture of the Monopoly guy yelling no taxes?
I mean, if it's a trademark violation, then that would be a civil issue. But I don't care if he holds up the Monopoly guy saying.
But is that free speech?
Is that free speech?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think so, yeah.
What if the Monopoly guy is naked?
Again, I don't have to like it, but if he's legally allowed to be there and it is speech, yes.
So that actually is illegal.
So again, not legal. I don't agree. If they're not doing something illegal, I agree with it.
But my question is for you philosophically.
I mean, could we hold up the Nirvana album with the naked baby under the water?
There's actually
It's on a lot of T-shirts. People walk around in it every day.
It's true. And it violates in a lot of places. You will get arrested for that. New York probably wouldn't arrest you for the Nirvana album because it's a baby that's naked. But the issue is people will say they're free speech absolutists, but I tend to find that they're usually not.
I am.
So we then have to question what you mean by speech, because I certainly don't think you would agree with a man holding up a sign showing two adults having sex in front of children.
I don't agree with their decision to do it. But
you'd let 'em do it.
Would I be the one screaming louder that they're idiots for doing it? Absolutely.
You're
That's
screaming
my
at a guy,
duty.
but he's holding up an image.
Okay. And then that's still my duty to respond louder.
I wouldn't let him do it. I'd say the police should arrest him. I think that should be illegal.
I mean, if the police find it to be illegal, they will.
Do you think that teachers should be allowed to tell children about gay sex, like in that book, This Book is Gay, where it tells...
First of all, when you're at work, that is not the same thing. When you are being paid to do a job, you do not have unfettered free speech when you're working on behalf of an employer.
What about putting the book in a library?
Putting a book in a library? I don't agree with banning any book.
So if the book tells children how to use Grindr, you're okay with that?
I don't like it. I can control my children. I can decide what they see. I can see what they bring home from the library.
Well, what if they just read it at the library and you don't know?
If it's in a public library?
Yep.
I don't agree with banning any book, because whatever they can ban on one side, they can ban on the other.
What about
And
in
it could
school
be us
curriculums?
next. For whatever side you're on.
What about in school curriculums?
School curriculums are not the same thing. Free speech is not the same thing as a school curriculum.
So you would say, would you say to a school, do not put those books?
Do not put those books, in a curriculum?
Yeah.
It's, as a parent, I would advocate. I think it's my duty to advocate for my kids.
Would you take your kids out of the school if they were teaching that?
If they were teaching what specifically?
So it was in Illinois.
Just so you know, I did take my kids out of a school and move them to a school I'm more closely aligned with.
In Illinois, there was a teacher who was showing 10 and 12-year-olds a book called, quote, This Book is Gay. It's the name of the book. And in it, it explains how to use Grindr for gay hookups.
Again.
The parents called the police on her.
And I'm going to say this again and again and again. Nobody has free speech in the course of their work. And so if the school is ordering them to do that, parents should be turning out and screaming loud in their protest. But there has never been any government in the history of the world that was on the right side of history when they censored their people.
Do you think the United States was on the right side of history in World War II?
Were we on the right side of history? Yeah, but we made huge mistakes.
So you said there was never a country in history that was on the right side of history when they censored their people?
Censorship is never the way, ever.
So any country that censored their people was on the wrong side of history?
If that's what they were doing to further their agenda, yeah.
Like the United States did in World War II.
I would not agree with that part.
With the U.S. Office of Censorship. And most famously, the line, loose lips sink ships.
Yes, no, I don't agree.
So then it would not be true that any country that censored their people is on the wrong side of history.
I have never seen any country that has censored their people that was right or just in doing so, no matter what the outcome is. I'm a utilitarian, but I don't believe that the outcome can justify the means if you're giving up a fundamental right to get there. Because they cannot give it back. Just because we got it back in World War II doesn't mean we would get it back the next time. Okay?
Doesn't mean you wouldn't either.
Our founding fathers created our Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, when they created the Constitution and the amendments and everything that our country fought for. One, the First Amendment was first because it is the bedrock upon
Correct.
which all of our rights are built.
That is wrong.
We cannot advocate for any other right without the First Amendment. We lose our ability to do so.
Actually, there were 17 articles first proposed, which were whittled down to the 10 in the Bill of Rights. Some of them were combined. And the first, I believe, was the salaries of members
The
of Congress.
final First Amendment was decided as the First Amendment, and it was stated so because without the freedom of the press, without freedom of speech, we lose the ability to advocate in defense of the rest.
Did you know that for almost the entirety of American history, blasphemy was illegal, obscenity was illegal, swearing in public was illegal? So the founding fathers did not believe what you're saying.
I am telling you that I believe it.
Sure. But the argument that the founding fathers said the First Amendment is the most important only applied to the ideas they deemed acceptable. They actually didn't believe in free speech as you describe it. They thought that if a person went outside and said, I swear, that they should be arrested. And in fact, up until the 70s, people were being arrested for swearing in public.
Fortunately, they didn't write it in the First Amendment, thank heavens, because that's what I defend.
Well, right. But the First Amendment only applies as you describe it in the past maybe 20 years.
No, it hasn't been 20 years. Like Walter Brandeis was decades ago.
You couldn't swear on TV.
Oh, I agree with you. You couldn't swear on TV, but those are privately owned networks. And then
No.
And then
Those are public airways.
governed airways.
That's right.
Right.
And so the government, which shall make no law respecting the establishment of speech, banned certain speech on public airwaves.
And we got there. There were lawsuits sufficient to get us there.
So for hundreds of years, free speech did not exist in the country, and the statement of the founding fathers did not actually apply.
I believe it, and I'll defend it all the way.
Right. So
no matter how bad it is.
My only point is that we've constantly had this argument about the Bill of Rights and the way things should be. But as we interpret almost all the Bill of Rights, first, the 9th and 10th Amendment are the least applied amendments in terms of any and every law. Let's just go ahead and say outright the 9th and 10th do not exist because there's no circumstance in which they're upheld. The right of the states. It just doesn't happen. The federal government goes in and does whatever they want, whenever they want, even if they have no right to do it.
I think we're seeing a tilt back in that direction, though. I think that there's possibility there for some landmark cases. I really do.
In terms of states' rights?
In restoration of states' rights. I really do think that we have some possibility there on some landmark cases that are working their way through.
I don't know the specific cases, but it seems as though the needle has only been pushing towards the federal government between states' rights and the federal
Actually,
government.
right now, one of the things you're seeing with Donald Trump and these tariffs, he talked about eliminating the income tax and going to a tariff-only system. When you gut the federal government and you no longer need to spend money on the federal government, tariffs might actually, when Trump talks about how we used to be very wealthy when we were only on a tariff system, at the same time, the government was itty-bitty. So Trump may actually mean it. When Doge goes in and shuts everything down and fires all of these people, and they get the federal budget down to a pittance and then use tariffs to fund it, they may eliminate taxes or something to that effect, which then you have a very weak and almost non-existent federal government. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.